Hello, this is Andreas with Technically Speaking at Source Allies. Today we're going to talk about the GitHub container repository and how you can integrate it with Kubernetes so that you can pull your images out of the container repository even if it's a private repository. This seems like a pretty simple thing, but it has a surprisingly complicated way of doing things. So first let's go through the problem statement, what the problem is. If you were to have a really cool app, we have an example app here. This index is going to spit out hello world and the current date. But this could be a lot more complicated. You've got an app that you've poured your heart into and you're ready to deploy it to Kubernetes. However, this app is in a private repository on GitHub. And you'd really like to use the GitHub container repository so that it's free to host your images. How do you get this image out of the private repository's container repository and onto your Kubernetes instance, which is separate from GitHub altogether? If you just try to follow the documentation on GitHub and get yourself a URL that you can put into Kubernetes for the where your image is hosted, you're going to find that you'll have problems. For example, GitHub container repository.io, my name for my personal org, and a private repo. This will actually fail. So you end up seeing these types of errors: failed to pull image, unknown response from daemon, and at the very end, unauthorized. And it's not really clear what you need to do to fix this, and Kubernetes will continue reporting an image pull back off. In other words, it's trying to pull the image, but it's getting unauthorized again and again and again. So let's get that configured so we can see that problem, and then let's try to fix it. Okay. So I already moved my stuff over, and I'm going to make a new repository. This is going to be a private repo. I just chose the visibility here, and I've named it K8's GitHub Container Repository Tech Speaking, and this plus will turn into a dash because pluses are not allowed. Okay. Repository created. Let's get that and put it into Git. Oh, I probably need INI. And then I'll remote add origin. That's not add. Okay. And finally I can push. Not match any. Oh, I probably need to commit some stuff. I'm not sure I want all of everything. Let's add interactive first. I think I want most of that though. 1 through 9, including a gitignore, a Docker file, some README stuff. That all looks good. Will that let me push? Main does not match any. I think I'm doing this right. I added the origin. Did I add the right origin? Yeah, that looks about right. Let's push from origin to main. Okay, I gotta figure this out. I'll be right back. Okay, make a commit. That still feels like, oh, I can push that new commit I'm in. Okay, we're back on track. So I needed to make a commit first. I don't know what I was thinking. I added all the files and staged them, but I didn't actually make a commit. So git commit, git push, and now these are up on GitHub, and you can see all the files. This is actually in a copy of a publicly hosted repo that has all this content, so we'll link that with the video. Okay, so let's see if the action is going to build the image. So part of this repo is using the built-in Docker actions. These are not built in, but they're provided by Docker within GitHub Actions. So you're looking at Docker meta action, metadata action, Docker login action, and Docker build push action. So login will get you logged in. Metadata will extract all the different tags and other stuff that should be on the image, and then build and push will just build the image and push to a repository. So I want to see if that is working, and it seems to be. This is using the credentials from the token that Actions runs under, and note that I have write attestations, write packages, and read contents. I think those are the important ones. I'm not exactly sure what I need the ID token for, probably for something. But given these permissions, I can push to the GitHub container repository, and I can see that successful here. And then I can also take a look under this new repo at my packages. And I can see this package. Note that it is private. It's tagged private right here. So this repo also has an example of a KH resource. It's going to make a new namespace and then try to deploy what I just pushed. Note that the name is slightly different. So let me make sure I've got that name correct. GitHub. There's a tech speaking on the end. Let's slap that in there. So this is going to pull a new version if it can. We're going to name the image GitHub container repository example, and I'm going to try to pull this image. And I expect this not to work. Okay, let's do it with a kubectl applied. Before I can apply, I'm just going to get nodes to make sure I've got connectivity, and I do. So if you're setting up a brand new Kubernetes instance to try this out, I would recommend making sure you've got kubectl connectivity before you go nuts and try to apply resources. Make sure that you can get a node back. Make sure that you can deploy some sort of hello worldy app to Kubernetes. Do some of that stuff before you try to deploy your own custom containers from private repository. I think I have saved how to do it. Okay, so kubectl apply this one file, and I'm giving the file name. So it's going to apply this file that will make the namespace and make the deployment. The path does not exist. I'm in the wrong spot. Let's see. I need to do that from up here where I'm in the repo. This one's down at the sandbox level, which is going to be useful for describing things. So I can describe all the pods that are in the GitHub container repository namespace. Before I do that, I think I'm just going to get all the pods. And I can see here that that pod is under status error image pull. That's exactly the error that we're expecting to get. It's a private repository, which means that the container repository is also private. My Kubernetes instance knows nothing about how to get into that, and it's probably getting some sort of auth error each time. So let's see if we can see that. Describe pods. Aha. Back off pulling image latest 401 unauthorized. So this unauthorized at the end of this fairly long message is the problem. You are not authorized to just pull this image willy-nilly. We need to provide auth. By default, Kubernetes will try to use anonymous auth. It'll try to just pull the image without any authentication token. That's not going to work in this case since it's private repo. Okay, so we're finally at the point where we see the problem and we want to try to solve it. Solving this is going to be a 3 or 4 step process. We need to make a personal access token, make a basic auth token with that pat, and then make a Kubernetes secret with that auth token. Okay, so first let's make a personal access token that's specific to this repo that we care about. So if you're logged into the GitHub web UI, you can go to profile, I think. No, settings. And here we have personal access tokens down here somewhere. I think maybe under developer settings, personal access tokens, and you need a classic token. It would be really nice if we could use a newer fine-grained access token, but unfortunately the docs do not allow you to do that. GitHub Packages only supports authentication using personal access tokens. Unfortunately, that's just a restriction in GitHub. I wish they would get that updated because that would be cool. Let's make a new personal access token. All right, I think I want classic here. And the important thing is read packages. This is what I need to pull the package down. And I'm going to call this GitHub container repository example text speaking. I don't really care about the name. I just want something to remind me what this was made for. So if I think about deleting it in the future, I'll be able to decide, do I really need to delete this? What's going on here? Okay, so read packages is the only permission I'm giving it. This will generate a token, and I've got it here. Be careful. If you navigate away from this page, there's no way to get this again. You just have to make a new one. So I hit the little copy thing. I have copied it, and now I'm ready to start encoding it every which way. So the first thing I need to do is encode this thing into a basic auth token. So what I want to do is concatenate it with my username. So it's going to be basic auth by your password joined with a single colon and your ID. So let's try base. Well, first I probably need to echo it. Oh, come back to me. Echo /in, so there's no trailing new line. And my username is Andreas Christensen, colon, and then that basic auth token from GitHub. It does have a GitHub P. I think this is a personal access token. So you can sort of remember what it is a little bit if you just happen to see something that starts with GHP underscore, maybe an access token. Pipe that through to base 64. And I'm going to put it through to PB copy. So now I have my access token. I'm not afraid to share it in this video because I'm going to be deleting it after we finish recording the video. So just for funsies, I'll throw it here somewhere. That's what it looks like. It's just a big base64 encoded blob. Nothing special there. That's the first step in making this example. Next, we are going to encode that into a JSON document that has what host name it's good for. It's good for ghcr.io. So here's my little template. Let's put this into a browser, and I'm going to put my token in there. So that basic auth token that I just made, which is really just the personal access token and my username concatenated together. So here's that thing. Make sure there's no new line. That looks good. Okay, we have another token. And this is now just a JSON encoded version of that. Finally, we're ready to make a secret. The last and final step here, well, not the final step, but the next step here is to make a secret, and it's going to look like this. That base64 encoded JSON value goes here under docker config JSON. And yeah, you can name it whatever you want, put in whatever namespace you want. The type has to be kubernetes.io/docker config JSON though. So I have more YAML. Let's put this somewhere. You know what? I'm just going to make a new document in here. I think that'll be the easiest way to do it. Docker pull secret YAML. I've got that there. Let's see if we can find that secret again. That's there. Make sure I get the whole thing. Yeah, that looks like the whole thing. Docker image pull. That goes in here. And I'm ready to commit this secret. Oh, how did I get a YAML up here? Docker image pull API. Okay. I think this YAML needs to be, I've got an extra indentation. Let's get rid of that. Okay, that looks about right. I got a trailing new line. I'm ready to make this secret, and you notice that it's in the same namespace that our resources are in. So these are all in GHCR example, and I'm going to make my secret in GHCR example as well. So kubectl apply a file. I think I named that Docker, yeah. So let's make ourselves a secret, and then we can start using that secret. So we're still right now failing to pull. It's probably got a whole bunch of image backoffs as it tries to again and again to pull that image. Let's see what it's up to. Scribe pods back off. So 19 times so far. but it's not able to pull the secret. I'm sorry, it's not able to pull the image because it doesn't have the secret. Now the secret is there, but we have to update the deployment to include this image pull secrets. And this name here, the GitHub Container Repository example image pull secret, needs to match up to the secret name here. So you'll note that those are the same. We're specifying what secret to use when pulling images. Time to update the deployment. Let's see, get, apply, this looks right. And you can see that this has been configured. At this point, we can watch it roll out, hopefully. Pulling image 3 seconds ago, and successfully created. At this point, let's get the pods, and we can see that it's there. Nice. It's no longer in failing to create, image pull back off. It's now running. So we got to the point where the status is running, and our image is coming out of the GitHub container repository and being used in Kubernetes. And it was really about double base 64 encoding our super secret, our personal access token. Note that this is the JSON, which inside it has the basic auth, so you double base 64 encoded that personal access token in order to get to this point. Make sure you don't commit this secret. This is a YAML file. You could commit it. Base 64 encoding is not encryption. You can decode it twice, and you'll get that personal access token. So if you commit this, it might get by whatever linters your organization is using, but some malicious person could absolutely pull the secret out of there and use it to their own for whatever they wanted. So strongly encourage you not to commit your secrets, ever. Okay, this has been Andreas with Source Allies. For Technically Speaking, we went through how to pull an image from GitHub Container Repository and use it in Kubernetes. If there's any topic that you'd like to discuss, please comment down below. Can't wait to see you next time.